You know how we always talk about the Fortnite community arguably being one of the worst communities in all of gaming? Well, today we're going to take a look at a bunch of comments over from this corner of the internet that we have right here, because we have arguably the greatest Fortnite community space out of everybody. Everybody has, they're always leaving such nice comments, just really always being respectful with one another, and it's really interesting to see, and it's sad that we almost have to praise this, and I talk about that all the time. It's sad that we have to praise this because that's just how the online space has become today. So today, guys, I wanted to gather from some recent videos that did pretty well on the channel and take a look at some comments, and I didn't pick like just top comments or anything like that. I scrolled through them and just saw like, hey, what could be interesting to present for a video, maybe respond online, because something that I love doing over here, and that's something that I love about doing on YouTube, is replying to everybody's comments. It's always an honor that people take time out of their day, because everybody's time is so valuable, right, to write such in-depth comments, give their thoughts on what they just watched. So, and that's when I started making this a series, taking a look at a bunch of comments and replying to it. And as always, guys, I would love to know what you guys think about further with these conversations down below. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another video. If you're new here, my name is Kyle. I am your guy with many YouTube channels. Guys, let's start off with the first video, branching off of what we've been talking about, and it was replying to a tweet from Jojo Josiah, because it was one of those videos just taking a look at the community drama and more like people hating on the last season and people just hating Fortnite in general. It was kind of branching off of that, so we're gonna have a few replies that are kind of in general to all of that today. So at Bob440 had this to say: thanks for continuing to point out that there were plenty of people who were very vocally hated almost every season of Chapter 1. I'm getting so tired of this community's rose-tinted glasses. And before you continue on, if you're new to this channel, if you happen to be clicking on this video first, I'm not just replying to comments that are proving myself right, okay? That's not what we're doing here today, but this is something that I can't believe more people don't talk about, and I really appreciate it, because it doesn't happen often on the channel that somebody actually agrees with me that so many people hated Chapter 1. I remember every single season, I've been saying this, since Chapter 1 Season 5, every single season that came out after that, with the exception of perhaps Season 8, which had its big moments, everybody was constantly hating on it. And when I'm saying that everybody's constantly hating on it, I'm talking about the online community, not the vast majority of the player base in general, because those players are not on Fortnite. So it's really nice to see, and it's really nice to see that got some likes as well, because it's well said, the community does have rose-tinted glasses. Chapter 1 was not the greatest time to be a Fortnite fan. Like, it might have been. Like, some of my favorite seasons were in Chapter 1. Season X still might be my favorite season of all time. That with Chapter 2, Season 7. So I loved Chapter 1. It's just the community didn't for the most part. Let's continue on. There was a reply to that specific topic. At John640 had this to say: Sigh, people bitched about nearly every season. Online is for complaining. That's kind of what social media is. Chapter 1 was beloved by most while it was going on, and still beloved today. I'm not sure why this channel is so obsessed with hating on Chapter 1, and quick context on that, I did reply to John in another thread and saying like, okay, I understand where you're coming from, but you are confusing my opinions. I said something to the extent of, I loved Chapter 1. Just for clarity, I do not hate on Chapter 1. It's just the community has rose-tinted glasses. Chapter 2 is 4 to 5 years ago now, and hardly anyone is nostalgic for that. Probably because Chapter 2 wasn't nearly as good in the eyes of most. A loud minority on Reddit is never a good gauge for how good something was. There was one more reply further to that. If the game was launched in Chapter 2 instead of Chapter 1, people would be nostalgic about Chapter 2. It's because it was the baby stage of the game, and it happens with every game out there. Fortnite is nothing special. You fall in love with whatever version of Fortnite you started playing on, and that's completely fine, but objectively, Chapter 1 had flaws. A lot of them, actually. I understand where the first comment is coming from, and saying like, a loud minority on Reddit is never a good gauge on how good something is. That's true. The opinions of the Fortnite community isn't the opinions of the player base. That's something that I should have been talking more about, because I understand when I just say the Fortnite community, it would make sense for everybody to think that I'm talking about everybody, but that's not the case. I'm talking about the online community. They hated Chapter 1. They really did, except for seasons 1, 2, 3, and 4. That's the reality of the situation. But it is also true that it was just because everybody started playing Fortnite, everybody sucked at the game. It would happen. Like, if Fortnite launched in Primal, everybody would love Primal. That's just how it works when it comes to games. I thought that was a very interesting discussion. I would love to know what you guys think about down below. After that, another user had this to say: the problem is that Fortnite takes it from one extreme to the other. Make crap way too much overpowered, then takes a 180 and nerfs everything. The other thing is that this is a shooter, and all this melee crap in the game has to change. Make more mythic guns and get rid of the melee bullcrap. So I do disagree when it comes to the melee items. I thought they've had some really, really fun melee items throughout the past, but I understand, like, it's probably talking about the Nitro Fist, right? Something that I do agree with, though, is I don't get why Fortnite, they do this. Like, they add a brand new thing to the game, and then it'll be way too extreme, which I like personally, but I understand why other people wouldn't like. They do a 180, and now that thing is completely useless. They're handling it a little bit better this season with the slow nerfs of the jetpacks, perhaps just what was necessary. So maybe Fortnite will learn moving forward, or they have been learning moving forward. But this is something that Fortnite has been doing. Again, I personally like when everything is busted and overpowered, but I understand that that's not everybody, right? The wrong thing to do is to do a complete 180 and nerf everything, and that's what Fortnite's done in the past. Let's continue on to another video, a video that I'm personally very, very proud of. It is how to enjoy Fortnite again. Guys, you need to check out this video if you haven't, because it is a tough pill for all of you to swallow. And by that, I mean for the people who constantly don't enjoy Fortnite but make themselves play it. So, Ancient Slav had this to say: I usually don't agree with you about Fortnite, but I agree on the life stuff you said about. Though I also believe you are happy because you don't see the heinous crimes happening in the world. Maybe that's for the best. Not all can take it, and it's a lot. If I show you my feet on X, you'd be weeping in the corner. Now, something that I do like is that, and this is what I love about so many of you that come over to this channel. I really do appreciate it, okay? There's so many people who disagree with the things that I say. Like, for the metaverse, for example, I would say the vast majority of you disagree with me and say, like, the metaverse is a good thing. This is the proper way Fortnite should be moving in. And I love that we can have this conversation. I love that you guys don't hate me for it, and vice versa. You can comment down below. You can change my tune on a couple things, and I really appreciate that. So you don't find that a lot in the online space. So honestly, like, when I say I appreciate you guys, it means a lot to me. We can have some nice, rational conversations with this. So I appreciate that, Slav. But, and I think I forgot to mention the how to enjoy Fortnite again. In summary, a lot of things I said was you need to fix your life outside of video games, and you will enjoy video games that just because you are happy in the rest of your life. But what I do disagree with is the part where I believe you are happy because you don't see the heinous crimes happening in the world. I'm actually very, very up to date on that. I've spoke about it a lot on this channel, that I keep, like, and oftentimes it's brought to this, I keep my political opinions to myself, so I never touch on that stuff, but I'm very aware of what's going on in this world. I keep up with it, and honestly, I don't want to say it's a hobby of mine, but it's something that I actively am interested in. I understand this world, and I am disgusted by the most part of what's going on in the world right now. I'm not going to drop exactly some situations, of course, trying to dance around it for YouTube, right? But I am not going to let that affect my life. I understand there's a lot going on in this world. There's a lot that's going on around me. It's very difficult to live in Canada, for example. I can say that one. It's very, very difficult to just afford food. No matter what, I'm not going to let that affect my life. I'm still going to live as happily as possible. I'm not going to let whatever I see on Twitter or let what's going on around me affect my life. What's the point of that? I refuse to let any outside factor have an effect on my happiness. That will never happen. So I understand that it's difficult, but at the end of the day, you can overcome that. Let's continue on, though. Rudy and Nicole had this to say: I remember growing up playing games in the 90s. I'm 40. A lot of guys can't handle losing. Throwing things like attitudes, talking smack, I couldn't stand playing with people like that. I really feel a lot of people even grown today and can't handle losing. So they want to complain of how bad the season is. They hate losing. It happens. You will lose. It's a game. I see so many streamers out there lose. They're crying and complaining. But when they win, they're happy as ever. I just feel people don't know how to take an L. You've got to learn to roll the punches, win or lose. I love this. I completely agree with this. And it's crazy to me that it's comments like these that come up, and I'm like, man, that is actually a really cool thing to say, but it's common sense, man. Like, I don't understand why people get so bent out of shape when they lose. Half the fun, in my opinion, is losing. Like, as long as I had a fun, hard, competitive game, like oftentimes I have in Reload now, I don't care that I lost. I don't understand the big deal. I do understand if you are a pro, if you are a competitive player, that makes sense to be upset about, but I am so with that, and I love to see, I love to see it too. Like, I remember growing up playing games in the 90s. I'm 40. A lot of guys can't handle losing. I have been playing games. I'm 26 years old. I've been playing games my whole life too, and it's entirely true. The amount of people I've seen that can't handle losing is just insane to me. Let's continue on. Big Papa Smurf had this to say: this was a great video. So much of what you said is really true. I really appreciate that. Soon as spring hit, I was able to ride my bike again. I was in a better mood. Years ago, when I stopped spending so much time on Facebook and doom scrolling, my mood changed for the better. But when it comes to having fun with Fortnite, the real reason a lot of people struggle to enjoy the game at times is because the game can get frustrating, and this is true for a lot of PvP games, not just Fortnite. It don't matter how happy a person is or how healthy they are. If a person getting frustrated by something, it's hard to enjoy it while in a state of frustration. What I really think people need to learn is how to take a break from something and not take their frustrations out on others or online. Put the controller down, go do something else, and come back to play later, and magically the game will be more fun. If a person keeps playing while frustrated, the likely outcome is a higher level of frustration. You also don't see people complaining in the same degree about games like Mario Kart, single-player RPGs, or single-player FPS games like they do for online PvP games like Call of Duty, Fortnite, or Dead by Daylight, for example. Yeah, it's just the culture of online that's really different for games like Fortnite or Call of Duty, but I love what most of this said, and honestly, it's always really cool to see. Like, I love that you find such enjoyment out of riding a bike. Simple things like that will change your entire life. It's incredible when you just like get a little bit active. I'm not saying that Smurf was, I'm not saying that you were inactive. I'm saying that just applies for a lot of people. All you have to do is start riding your bike a little bit and your life will improve. But what's interesting, and I would love to know what you guys think about this down below, the reason a lot of people struggle to enjoy the game at times is because the game can get frustrating. I'm coming from an angle where it's like, it's a game. It's not a big deal. I don't understand why you let this game frustrate you. If a glitch happens, like if somebody shoots me through my build, people would consider that frustrating, but it's not frustrating to me, but it's because it's a video game. Again, I understand from a competitive, and if you're a Fortnite pro, if you're trying to make money from this, but at the end of the day, it's just a game, and that's what I really don't understand. And that's why too, like, it is so not important, and I honestly don't think it should be frustrating for anybody. That's kind of where I'm coming from, but I get that if there's something that does... It's really tough because I'm coming from that angle, but at the end of the day, I understand that there are things that frustrate you in life. And that might be one of the things that frustrates people. Regardless, whatever you said, and I'd love to know what you guys think about this down below too. I love the idea of taking a break for something. People play too much. People treat Fortnite like it's a religion, as Jojo Josiah says, and it doesn't make any sense to me. If you're having frustrations with the game, if you're not enjoying yourself, go take a break, go do something else. Again, seems a little bit common sense. Now, Jova65 had this to say: improve your mental health and things will improve. Well, obviously. Even though you mentioned this would be a generalization, I didn't expect it to be this broad. You're addressing only a small percentage of the player base, and you're making authoritative statements that primarily apply to depressed teenage coomers. This is an oversimplification of a much larger discussion. The point is, Fortnite is an ever-evolving game that must avoid becoming stale while not pivoting too much from its original concept. How can this balance be achieved? I see many takes claiming that Fortnite is objectively better now and that we should just get over it. But is it really? I'd argue it depends. Some aspects are better, while others are worse. The popularity of the OG season and reload speaks volumes. A significant portion of the community misses the original gameplay. Additionally, a segment of the player base is frustrated with the metaverse direction, which arguably might be or will be the detrimental to the VR experience. Saying that Fortnite does not hit the same because of addiction and a lack of exercise baffles me. Yes, a healthy lifestyle improves overall well-being, everyone agrees on that, but ignoring the entire debate on the state of Fortnite in favor of this explanation is bewildering. I'll leave an upvote because you seem to put thought and work into this video, but this seems from very far from explaining what is causing the sentiment in the community. Still, people should be exercising and eating healthy regardless. So I understand where you're coming from, and honestly, it makes a lot of sense. And I'm not, it's difficult because when you want to talk about the state of the game, so many different people enjoy different things. I understand where you're coming from in that, okay? Going back to what I was saying though, everybody still hated the game in Chapter 1. I will forever sit here and say it's a people thing. It's not a gameplay thing. Yeah, you know what? Some seasons are worse than others. Things like Primal, things like Wrecked. I get why people don't like that stuff. But people have been unhappy with Fortnite for years and years and years, all the way back to Chapter 1. It is a people issue. It is not a game issue. Is the game worse in Chapter 5? Yeah, but not to the extent that people are crying and complaining about it. So I do believe it's a people thing. I do believe it's people getting depressed outside of video games in their own life. I do believe it's people rotting their brains with things like TikTok and things like corn. People need to better themselves in regular life, and they will come back and they will sit down and they will enjoy this game that they always claim frustrates them. Nobody has any attention spans anymore, and everybody's addicted to dopamine, and they expect Epic Games to entertain them more than 2 weeks at a time. Every update's not good enough anymore. And yeah, you know what? The updates aren't as they were in Chapter 1, but people still hated them in Chapter 1. It doesn't matter. People won't be happy unless there's an update every single day that caters to their own exact needs. And when I say people, of course, again, I am generalizing. Now, what I do love about this, and this is what I was talking about at the beginning of the video, guys, I love that people can disagree with me in this sense, and this is why I love this Fortnite community, man, because that comment was disagreeing with me completely and pretty well everything that I was saying and giving their own thoughts, and it was made in a very, very respectful manner and still like the video. So I really appreciate that, and I really appreciate, especially when any ideas are challenged. So thank you very much for that comment, Jovis. I appreciate it. I hope you come back to this video, and I feel bad, like, there were so many comments on that video that I wasn't able to get back to. I really, like, it sucks, man. That's the like, I love getting bigger on YouTube, man, but I miss being able to reply to every single comment. Anyways, let's continue on to another video talking about a post that went viral on Reddit. The game that we grew to love is gone forever. Talking about item shop skins, talking about rarity being removed, and how the game is just completely dead. Let's take a look at a couple replies from over there. Is Fortnite dying? No. Have they made many poor business decisions? Almost definitely. Is this chapter good or bad? Yes and no. I personally think the art direction is bad. The game is trying to lean more towards a realism route with its art direction. In my opinion, chapters 4 to 5 art direction is bad. I hate it. The only problem I have so far is really just the art direction. The overall gameplay is fine. It's not good, it's not bad, it's just fine. Fortnite could do better, but I'm willing to wait to see what progress is made. This is a fair criticism, to be honest with you. I've been very critical of Fortnite's graphics in this season. Chapter 4 was my favorite, so it's funny that you don't like both Chapter 4 and 5's art direction, because that seemed to be a little bit more similar. Like, they're trying to get back to Chapter 1, but regardless, nothing to complain about. What I do like about this is they're willing to wait it out and seeing what progress is made. This is what the average players should really think about Fortnite if they're not liking it so much. Just take a break. Just say, hey, if any progress is made, if it gets better, then I'll come back and play the game. I'm not saying that this player hates the game or anything like that. It's just a mindset that I do like. Let's continue on to another video asking about top streamers and do you value their own opinions. I wanted to take a reply over here. I don't personally value the opinions of top streamers, but I know Epic does, and that is what always concerns me. I don't want less than 1% of the player base having such a sway over the game for the other 99% of us. That's how we get seasons like this one wrecked, and no one really ends up happy with it. These streamers and opinions wouldn't bother me so much if we had separate loot pools and rule sets for ranked and unranked, because then they could comment on their little section of the game without their opinions so heavily affecting the rest of us. And again, I'll sit here and say it again. As always, I do think competitive and casual should be split. That would fix the vast majority of the problems with the game right now and why everybody is so frustrated. But I actually really like this comment because I agree with it. I don't personally value the opinions of top streamers, but I know Epic does. And there are people that I don't want to say like I look up to their opinion or anything, but there are people that I definitely value their opinions. But I don't just, and when I say like, do you value the top streamers' opinions, I'm talking to you like, just look at the guys like Ninja, Typical Gamer, do you look at Cypher PK and just kind of like wait for them to see what their opinion is, right? That's what I kind of mean in that sense, but there definitely are people in the space that I wholeheartedly value their opinion, and I love like this, all of you guys that comment down below, man, like your opinions mean a ton to me either, because we have so many good ideas for the game. And this is why, like, I love it, man. I love reading all of these comments. So that was a really well thought out comment. Let's take a look at another reply. I think that top streamer opinions are, or at least can be, valuable. They're typically the ones who have played the longest and most, which means they have more insight into what the game has been and can be. Respect your elders, kid, I say as a kid. Also, I think top streamers hold value in that they represent the group of whatever they do like, how Clicks and Peterbot represent a large competitive community. Should they be the only people we listen to? No, but they shouldn't be ignored either. Going a bit off topic though, I believe that all opinions matter, whether they're from popular people or not. I'd even argue that people who have a very one-sided mind should have some say, as even if it's one-sided, there's a reason for an opinion in the first place. Plus, it doesn't necessarily mean they don't acknowledge or understand the alternative. It just means their opinion is very strong. I, for example, agree that Nitro Fists and cars can be fun, but you cannot pay me to say anything besides nerf them. It's not because I don't care about other people's opinions, it's just that I strongly believe they're too OP. Either way, an opinion is individual. People will agree and disagree, and you just really got to look at what the supermajority says, while still maybe taking some advice from the minority. But, just like this topic of all, this is just my opinion. I loved this entire comment. I wish I could have came across of it a month ago, and now it would just be kind of, I mean, it's not weird to reply to, but it's like a little bit way too late, right? When I was gathering these, I was like, man, that was a really good comment, because something that I did particularly like about this comment is So many people are quick to ignore the top streamers' opinions, the competitive opinions, and I don't think that should be the case. Do I disagree with a lot of them? Yeah. Are some of them out of touch? Yes. Are some of them only complaining because they play too much? 100%, but they should not just be ignored and kind of degraded like the community likes to do to them. And I really, really enjoyed this comment, guys. I can't tell you, and I hope it comes out. Like, I hope you guys understand me when I'm saying, like, I can't thank you enough for dropping in-depth comments like the ones that we looked at today. And there were so many others, and maybe we could even, like, look at these videos again. Regardless, your time is so valuable, and the fact that you not only watched my video, but to take time out of your day to give your thoughts like this, and, like, so many people had so much to say. You know, it just means a lot to me. I really appreciate that, guys. If you want to keep watching some more comments, we have the last video that we did, taking a look at even more videos, even more comments. I would love to have you guys over there. Take care, everybody.